Welcome to the Radiant Grace Podcast. I'm Rachel, and this is where we learn to find Jesus in our broken pieces. Have you ever worn a mask? Not the kind that covers your face, but the kind that hides your heart. The mask that says, "I'm fine," even when you're falling apart inside. The mask that smiles while your soul trembles with fear, anxiety, shame, or exhaustion. I know that mask well, because for a long time I wore it too, and sometimes I still do. On today's episode, we'll discuss what happens when God gently invites us to take that mask off, to stop pretending, to stop performing, to start healing. It all began in October of 2021. I woke up one morning and couldn't move the way I used to. My body wasn't responding. That was the day my journey with functional neurological disorder, FND, began. FND means that there's a glitch in the way my brain sends and receives signals. It's unpredictable. One day I can walk, another day I can't. I've spent time in a wheelchair, used a walker, and sometimes, on good days, I walk with my own 2 feet. But the hardest part wasn't the physical symptoms. It was the shame and the fear. Shame, because suddenly I wasn't the caregiver anymore. My husband and my sons became my caregivers. I felt like a burden, like somehow I'd failed them. And fear, because I didn't know who I was anymore. I didn't want people to see me like this. Broken, dependent, different. So I stayed home. I shut people out, even the ones who loved me most. In those quiet moments of hiding, I remembered a verse that has carried me through many storms. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Even when fear whispered that my story was over, God reminded me that His light still shines, even behind closed doors. I thought hiding would protect me, but really, it only made the loneliness deeper. One of the people who's walked with me through all of this is my nutritionist. She's seen me through several episodes of F&D, never knowing if I'd show up in a wheelchair, with a walker, or on my own 2 feet. Every visit, we set goals together. And the first one was always the same. Don't die. That became our little joke, because honestly, it was the one goal I thought I could always keep. But a few months ago, something inside me shifted. I realized that not dying wasn't enough anymore. My friend Will loves to quote from The Shawshank Redemption. He always tells me, get busy living or get busy dying. So I changed my goal from don't die to don't die, start living. But I didn't know how to start. How do you live when you feel trapped by fear and shame? So I did the only thing I could. I prayed, and I asked God to help me take off my mask. I held on to His promise in Isaiah. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee. Yea, I will help thee. I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. I didn't feel strong, but he was strong for me. And little by little, that strength became my courage to start again. And slowly, he began to answer. The first answer came in a whisper to my heart. Reach out. So I started asking my family and friends to come visit. And when they'd ask, "What can I do for you?" I'd always say, "Ah, I'm fine." But God said no, that was the wrong answer. He impressed on my heart, stop pretending to be fine. Let people in. Ask them to share their stories of how I've helped them. So I started doing that. And friends began to share their own trials, their moments of brokenness and faith. Their stories lifted me. They reminded me that I wasn't alone. Then God gave me another answer, a bigger one. He told me to find others like me, people who understood what it felt like to live with FND. So my friend Angie and I started a support group. At first, it was just the two of us, but little by little, others found their way in. Now we're 9 members strong, sharing, supporting, praying, and reminding each other that broken doesn't mean unworthy. And just when I thought God had finished with me, He gave me one more surprise. He said, "Start a podcast." And I said, "What's a podcast?" I asked my boys, and when they told me, I said, "Oh no, no, I can't do that because I can't think clearly anymore. I forget words. I stutter. My brain doesn't always cooperate." But God said it again. Start a podcast. And I argued. But He reminded me of Moses. In Exodus chapter 4, Moses said, "Oh my Lord, I am not eloquent, but I am slow of speech and of a slow tongue." And the Lord replied, "Who has made man's mouth? Have not I the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be with thy mouth, and teach thee what thou shalt say." So here I am, with my brokenness, with my fears, with my halting speech and foggy thoughts, starting a podcast, not to hide behind a mask anymore, but to help others take theirs off too. Because shame loses its power when we share our stories, and fear fades when we walk with God and with each other. I'm learning to let God's light shine through my cracks, not in spite of them. Because even when we feel broken, His grace is radiant. Before I go, I want you to reflect on this week. What mask are you wearing? What would your life look like if you finally took the mask off? Thank you for being here with me today. If this episode spoke to your heart, will you please share it with someone who might be wearing a mask of their own? And please let them know that you are their safe place. May you find the courage to take one small step towards taking off your own mask and feeling how deeply loved that you truly are. If you'd like to learn more about me and my journey, please join my community at www.radiantjoywithrachel.com.